Today we're talking about scale drawings and models. So a scale drawing or scale model is going to be an object or drawing that is proportional to the object that it represents. Okay? The scale is going to be the ratio of the length of the model to the actual length. All right. So realistically, this is very similar to what we did in 7-6, and it's going to be, we have an object. Okay, so we go outside and we have this flower, and we measure the flower and we say, okay, so for this flower, its actual height is 6 inches tall. Okay, and I want to make a scale drawing of this flower. So I get out my pencil and my paper, or in this case, my handy-dandy iPad, and I decide that I want to sketch this flower, and I want it to be double the size on my paper, because I'm just, really going for that. So I would sketch my flower. Okay. You'll have to forgive me, I'm obviously not an artiste. Okay. And it would be an exact replica. Again, bear with me, it's an exact replica. And it would be double the height, so it would be 12 inches tall. So I put that on my paper. And so this would be a scale drawing. Other examples of scale drawings include when we go and we take a picture of something, like the Eiffel Tower or the bears at the zoo, right? And then you print out a little picture, or you have the picture on your cell phone. They are not generally the same size as the original, okay? If you have a cell phone that is big enough to have a life-size picture of the Eiffel Tower, then that'd be super impressive, right? So it'd be several hundred feet tall. We can also compare, just so you know, the widths of the picture. So those are definitely part of the scale there as well. So you can look at those. And we're going to do some drawing tomorrow in class, and everybody will like that. And so just a heads up, you're going to have an image, and it's going to have a grid on it. Okay? And usually, the way that it works is the grid on the original drawing, we'll just go with a flower again, just to keep things simple. Okay. So the original image, its scale, the little lines on here might be 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, right? So they'd be little squares. Okay? And so each of those would represent 1. So we would have, 6 or 10 or 15 centimeters tall and however many wide. Then you're going to have another paper, or on the bottom of the paper, depending on how it's set up, and you will have the same number of boxes, except I can't count currently. Only this time, instead of them being 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, these would be like 1 inch by 1 inch. Or, instead of inches, it could be 1 foot by 1 foot. Okay, so it could be however much bigger you want it to be. And then you copy each square. So if the first square is blank, then you would leave your first square blank. If in the second square it has just a little part of an arch, you would just put a little part of an arch. Okay? And you would follow that around, and you would make sure that whatever is in each of those squares, that it is going to be the same thing in the corresponding square. So a couple of helpful hints here, okay, just from having done this before. My first suggestion is going to be to number your grid. Okay, so if I have 5 blanks this way, I would number them 1 through 5 this way. Okay, and then I would number vertically as well. And I would go ahead and plot out some important parts on there, because yours are going to be more detailed than my beautiful flower here. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the scale factor there and how that works. But so these get used a lot. They get used every time we take the blueprints for a house and we turn them into an actual house. We use them every time you get into Microsoft Word or Publisher or PowerPoint and you insert an image and it's either too large or too small for the position that you want it to be in. And so you scale that. If you do it badly, right, everybody has seen or has probably created where you started off with a flower or some other shape, usually somebody's face, and instead of stretching it equally length and width-wise, and keeping it proportional, you accidentally just stretched it one way instead of both ways. And so your flower turned into, it's really hard to just draw that, and so it's sometimes really skewed vertically or really skewed horizontally. And so it doesn't really look the same way. Well, that's really entertaining to do sometimes with people's faces and pictures to play around with. It looks really bad if you're trying to, say, create a publication and use those images for that. So proportions and keeping your scale correct in an actual publication setting is going to be really important. So nothing super duper challenging tomorrow. You can totally handle it. We will also look at a few places where you might use this on like a map. Not Google Maps, but an actual paper map. And then we will do our drawings in class tomorrow. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a lovely evening. Goodbye.